to me, value is who's paying attention.
Right. And what I would say is, if you're paying attention to my videos, like I thank you for that. Like it means a lot because I'm a perfectionist at heart. I spend probably too much time on set or behind the desk editing, and but at the end of the day, it's like I want to impress the client. I want to impress the people who are viewing the video.
It's good to see him, man.
Yeah.
You know, we talked on Zoom, and we talked about like how I found you. I found you through like the Chamber of Commerce where started, by the way. I found you through like a video that looked really like badass. It was like a Instagram reel of like, it looked like almost like a full interview of whoever was in, I can't remember who it was, but it was like, oh my God, like this is like Netflix worthy style or whatever. So I'm just like, okay, I need to get to know this guy. So that's when I messaged you, and I'm just like, hey, you want to be on the pod? You want to talk about it? There's projects. I'm thinking like I'm going like 100 miles an hour, just trying to figure out how can I bring you into my life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So and I'm hoping later I can like share also clips of stuff that you've worked. Of course, we'll mention your Instagram so people can find you too. But like, what got you into making these like high quality videos of like interviews and, you know, documentation pretty much?
Yeah. So honestly, it's a lot like you wanting to film organic content featuring people locally. And so I went to school for business administration and with an emphasis in marketing. What was funny growing up was I would always make these silly videos with my friends, and so we'd set up the camera, and so I've learned a foundation of like editing skills, how to frame things up, how to match it to music, and so when I went to school for business administration, I did a lot of digital marketing, and so what that includes is a lot of Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, setting those up and representing businesses to get them to get more customers, essentially. Mm-hmm. So I always thought that was kind of like my pathway. This is the career pathway I want to go down. This is what I know. This is kind of like what I've specialized in. And so when I graduated, I found a job here locally to represent local companies. And well, I quickly figured out I knew what I was doing, but I wasn't necessarily fulfilled what I was doing. And a big part of that was just sitting at a screen all day.
Yeah.
I knew I'm an active guy. I like to run. I like to be outside. And I quickly figured out like being at a desk for 8 hours is not my jam.
Now, when you say quickly, like what does that look like? 2 months, 3 months in the job?
So it's funny. It's different between an internship and your first actual job, because now you're locked in. You're there for the full day, 8 hours.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it was day one. It was the first day that I started that job that I was like, this is not what I'm meant to do. Yeah. And I stayed at the job for a couple of years. And down the road, things started to get challenging because the number one challenge that I saw for our clients is, especially with Facebook ads, where you need a visual representation of a photo or a video to go along with your ad. Yeah. We just had no content for our clients. And so I talked to my bosses like, hey, I have this experience with a camera creating like, you know, these funny videos with my friends growing up. Of course, now it needs to go along with their strategy, and it needs to look professional. Yeah. So I had the basics down, but it's nowhere where I'm at today. But, you know, I went out to the client site, filmed some content, spoke with the business owner or the key players in the business, took that footage back and edited it together and ran it as an ad for the world to see. And guess what happened?
Good results.
Good results. Yeah. Not only because it looked good, but it was fresh. It was something that, I mean, I think anyone can relate to this, is when they see the same ad like a billion times, they're just going to scroll right past it. So that's exactly what was going on with me. And that's what you call ad fatigue. Yeah. Okay. so we needed ways to not only create professional content, represent our clients well, but to get something that gathered attention and got results for our clients. So we did that once, we did that twice, we did that 3 times. And then quickly I figured out, I'm like, this is probably the way I want to go. I always kind of had this entrepreneurial mindset where even though I started with that company, I knew eventually one day I wanted to own my own business. Yeah. And so 2 years after being at that job, I stepped away. And here we are. That was in 2022. Now we're towards the end of 2025, and we're rocking and rolling.
This episode is sponsored by Santos Bros Plumbing. Are you in need of a dependable and effective plumber you can trust? Look no further than Santos Bros Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers in Paso Robles, California. Call them now at 805-360-4679. That's Santos Bros Plumbing. This episode is sponsored by Lion Pro Flooring. Give new life to your floors with beautiful, professionally installed flooring. Whether it's hardwood, luxury vinyl, or carpet, your home deserves quality you can feel and craftsmanship you can trust. Serving Paso Robles in all of SLO County, Lion Pro Flooring is your local expert in transforming spaces. Call or text 805-712-3710 for a free estimate today. That's 805-712-3710, Lion Pro Flooring, when quality matters. This episode is brought to you by Rad Scooter Deli on 6th Street. Craving something delicious in Paso Robles? Rad Scooter Deli on 6th Street has you covered. Enjoy tasty sandwiches, fresh salads, and smoothies like the Banana Nut Blast, my personal favorite. Kick back on the covered patio, sip on a cold beer and wine, and enjoy the easy parking. Order online for pickup or dine-in. And here's a treat. Use promo code PODCAST for $5 off your next order. That's PODCAST for $5 off your next order. Open daily from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Rad Scooter Deli. Local flavor, fast and fresh.
It's crazy to think like you did that for 2 years, and considering the smartphones have been around since 2017, with actual screens and cameras and stuff like that. And right? No, 2008, 2007. That's the iPhone came out.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I'm dating this. I don't even want to talk about how, okay. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But since then, there's been so many opportunities to be able to freely share stuff online, video, pictures, and stuff like that, and then you boost in whatever you do, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, it's crazy. You went there for 2 years, and the company you worked with wasn't at that point in their business to do that, right? So when you started doing that with them, did you kind of notice other businesses started doing it? Because I feel like if I was the guy to bring this into a business, and then we started doing a little extra money, I'd be like, maybe I deserve part of the company or something. My head would my ego would get too big a little bit. Yeah. But there's that feeling of accomplishment, and that feeling of obviously you outgrow things, but in my head I'm like, did you see other companies start doing something similar? Since obviously the client wasn't aware that this was a possibility, so they didn't shop around. They stayed with the company that you're with. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's if they didn't shop around, that means other people weren't doing it. Did you see a trend in this area starting to happen after that?
This area is interesting because I would say it's a little bit behind as far as the bigger cities go. It wasn't that it wasn't a thing. It was more so the company. I was the first kind of employee hired as part of a digital division, if you want to call it something like that. So I was actually one of the first ones to be part of this digital advertising space. A lot of it was based around print marketing at the time. And, so for them to rely on me to bring on to this digital division, I thank them for trusting me to bring whatever skill I had coming from previous internships in my schooling. But video has always, since 2005, YouTube was a thing. I was there basically since the beginning. I think I started watching, I was 12 years old in 2007. And that's when I started watching YouTube. And it's movies have always been a thing too. It's just where video has a way of capturing attention that other media forms don't. Yeah. And I knew this was a trend. Now I just want to apply it to our businesses because my I guess, what would you call it? Key phrase motto. It's a, well, let me just say it. It's when I started, I believe every business deserves compelling content that best represents its capabilities. And so when I was working with advertising, that was just, we had no content that didn't represent their capabilities. Yeah. And so now I needed to fill in that gap. And so I'm a little bit different because while there's a lot of video companies out there, I don't think they speak directly to what the customer necessarily just speaks directly to what the customers need to hear as far as a sales standpoint and what they specialize in and the communication they need to show their customers to help guide them through the customer buying process. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've noticed as Paso's growing, as this area is growing more, I've met a few other videographers and companies like similar to, I don't want to say similar to what you're doing because I honestly think you stand out the way you kind of take your videos and present them. But I can definitely tell the bigger city folk that have businesses of marketing video content are starting to come here because they see like an untapped potential or like untapped market because those dollars aren't being spent yet, right? There's still a lot of Facebook, paragraphs that people share instead of the actual photo or video that they share, but it's like even though it's from like an iPhone 11, 12, it looks grainy for some reason because they didn't have good Wi-Fi when recording it or going live or all these things. And you're just like, I'm sure you pick it apart like, oh, they could have just, recorded it locally and then posted it instead of going live just to preserve the quality. Sure. But I don't know where I was going with that thought. Hold on. Back up.
Untapped market.
Yeah. So as you pretty much know what needs to be done in order for yourself to be successful in this area, right? Well, do you feel like there's some, if you had to go back and redo that, like what little tweaks and changes would you make to be like, oh, that way I would have been further along now if you think about that stuff? I think about that stuff. I get dark sometimes.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's starting 2022. It's you see all these opportunities, but you kind of have to focus in on one thing. So I guess the hardest thing for me has been, what specific industry do I want to focus on? When I say I believe every business deserves compelling content that best represents its capabilities, I truly believe that. But as far as like earning a living and being the guy that just does everything, you really have to focus in on, okay, these are like kind of specific clients that are not only make sense for me to make a living in this area, but what do I actually like working with? What are the messages that I like sharing? And so I've kind of figured out 3 common themes. I like companies that represent or that build out community, that build out self-improvement, and that create peace of mind. Mm-hmm. And so I guess the 2 main ones right now for me would be the construction industry, and we can just kind of see it happening around us. This whole area is, I grew up in Atascadero. I saw it kind of that the city hall area, the downtown area. I've seen that all grown from the ground up, and I'm super excited about that. I've been a big part of that. Just custom home builders, making people's lives just better, having happy spaces that they can enjoy. A big project I'm working on right now is with the San Luis Coastal Education Foundation. It's called the K-12 Skills Lab. And what we're doing is introducing kids to high-level industries around the area to keep them local. And so we're doing like 56 videos featuring 56 different businesses, and from aerospace to construction to advanced manufacturing to healthcare. And so, I mean, these are the types of projects that I like working on, ones that just build up our community, that have a really strong message that, that people can get behind.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Are there any industries or anything that, so when you were talking about to the K-12
skills lab,
skills lab, did you go? Was there any like specific category or genre or like part of an industry that you were like, oh, I didn't know that existed? Like as you were going through the list of things that they wanted you to like work on, like aerospace, right? That's a big one in this area that people don't realize. Like there's I've seen people who are in the financing world in Paso. I'm not gonna mention names because it's just one of those things where like I don't like to. Like if I saw them, okay, cool. They're having a sandwich at Red Scooter, great. That's it. But in my head, I'm just like, oh my god, this place is like gonna blow up because there's a space station, sort of, right in our airport in Paso Robles.
I think it's in the works.
It's in the works, but it's gonna be mostly like offices or something like that. But it's like next to the airport, and I'm just like, okay, what's going on? What aliens are gonna visit us?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you were going through that project, was there anything that you kind of like got like, oh wow, I didn't realize that was available in this area?
It's almost all of them. Besides like, healthcare, the big ones like Adventist Health, Dignity Health. I mean, SpaceX is out at Vandenberg Space Force Base. We interviewed, the base commander at Vandenberg also. Awesome. It's just like these super important people. And you're just like, and I'm just there filming them and kind of directing them. It's a really weird feeling for me to be who I am and then to talk to someone like that.
Tell them where to step.
I mean, I'm just trying to do my job. Like I'm trying to make them look good. I'm trying to get the most professional quality out of them as possible. But honestly, it's all the businesses. I was in Santa Maria last week with Advanced Manufacturing. They create parts for planes and probably they do for rockets to just get into space. So it's weird because you go to the spot and you just never know like how far up the chain it can go to. Right. People rely on businesses in our area to get things done, and I'm just super happy to be part of something like that.
This episode is sponsored by Western Janitor Supply. They have cleaning supplies and equipment for any workplace. Call today at 805-238-2112. They provide an extensive line of chemicals, paper products, and floor equipment. Again, that's Western Janitor Supply located in downtown Paso Robles. This episode is sponsored by Valeria Noves with RE/MAX, your local real estate expert here in the Paso Robles and Central Coast. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, Valeria makes the process smooth, personal, and stress-free. She's bilingual, experienced, and ready to help. ¿Hablas español? Ella también. Call Valeria today at 805-212-6387 and let's get you a home. This episode is brought to you by the White Wave Wellness. Choose to live a healthy and fulfilling life. Wellness is more than being free from illness. It is a process of change and growth towards a mentally and physically healthy lifestyle. Reach out to Jennifer Hale to learn more about how this water can change your life.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. The more I do this podcasting thing, the more people are telling me, hey, you should have this person on. You should have this person on. You should have this person on. And a lot of the times it's like, it's cool because like, instead of me going out networking, like the networking is coming to me, which is nice. And that way I get to meet people. The clients I have know people as well. So they're constantly, hey, you should have this person on. Like everybody gets excited to like kind of promote each other in a way. But I think what you offer is that to capture that like that moment in time where they can actually just sit down and talk to you of what their story is.
Yeah. It's a combination of what I would call it is a combination of story and strategy. I think of myself as a strategist first. That's kind of like, well, at least I want to use my business degree to some degree, you know. I wasn't completely happy with my college experience. But what I will say it allowed me to do is just have a foundation of like what needs to be talked about as far as sales, marketing, strategy, what have you. So I start with that, and I consider myself a videographer second. I'm all self-taught as far as videography. I'm not going to claim to be or an expert in videography. But what I can guarantee is a professional looking result. I'm a one-man band, probably 80% of what a full crew can do.
Yeah, which I, coming from another person who tends to be a one-person company, which now I'm being helped by Walter because I want my hands free so I can actually talk freely.
Yeah,
because for some reason sometimes I got to do stuff with my hands or hold a cup of coffee. But the one word I remember, because I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school for like audio and video production. I didn't go to school for, I don't even think there's a podcasting class yet. Like, it's just, there's all these things that's self-taught. But the one word that keeps coming up when I'm trying to justify like what I'm doing, like how I consider professionally, how I consider myself, is enthusiasts. Like, enthusiasts are teaching themselves. Enthusiasts are, entrepreneurs are teaching themselves. And in my head, I'm like, all right, so I'm a video podcast production enthusiast. Like, it's not like it's not like for me saying it as an easy way out. Like, I'm not trained, so that's the quality you're gonna get, But it's one of those things where like I'm like that word to me means constantly improving.
Yeah.
Is there something down the road that you're gonna like your biggest goal, like that you're aiming for?
Yeah. What I would say is it's a continuation of what I'm doing now. I am a one-man band. I don't mind being a one-man band, but as far as business growth, I realize I'll need to delegate some tasks to different people. I think the biggest thing is finding an editor, because the editing takes a long time. It's very tedious work. I like to think of it as putting together pieces of a puzzle. Okay, whether it be the music or the clips or just how long the clips are, where a certain piece of B-roll goes on top of interview footage. That stuff takes time, and it's very meticulous work. And believe it or not, it's hard on your wrist because you're making these micro adjustments. And when you're doing that for hours, like one or two times, it's not going to matter. But when you're doing that for hours and staying up late at night, your eyes start screaming at you, and you're just like, okay. So the first thing would be to find an editor. But the goal down the road is to just have a small team. It's one where I would probably direct. We would probably have a video guy. We'd have the editor when things are all said and done. Maybe a lighting guy. But what I find with smaller teams is things stay focused.
Yeah.
And when teams start to get too big, then you have too many voices trying to project their vision. And that's where I think things kind of go downhill, is the strategy is kind of lost. And then the quality kind of suffers from there. The quality of the video might stay very high, but as far as the messaging, then it starts to go downhill. Because at the end of the day, I want it to be the business owner and their story, and then combine it with the strategy that's going to get them the most results.
What's the longest video you've created? Because I know the ones I've seen are usually long enough to keep attention on Instagram, on Facebook.
Yeah. And
I've seen a few other longer ones, but like, are you looking at any like feature length documentaries at all?
Totally dependent on the project. Based on what I do right now and using my business knowledge, we don't really want, as far as the videos I create right now, we don't want anything longer than, I would say, five minutes or so. That's just long enough to get as much information across as you need to, but not so long to where it starts to drag and then people start to tune out. So I like to think of the short form. I'm not a short form content really guy where it's something that's probably like 30 seconds or less. It's more so something that's 60 seconds to 5 minutes or so. That's kind of like my sweet spot. And documentaries have their place. Yeah. Short form has its place. My content has its place. So I've kind of just filled it within that spot.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that you're kind of like focusing on that and just. I mean, it's great work already. So I can only imagine what's going to be next 5 years. So. For me, posting Instagram Reels, I used to do like 30 to 45 seconds, and then I felt like it was being cut off too soon. There was like not enough information being told, so I started extending it more, excuse me, to like a minute to 2 minutes. And I'm like, all right, cool, but I think there's more to it. And I went to 3. After I get to past 3 on Instagram, it says it's going to stop recommending it on Facebook. Have you found any frustrations with the social media and like what? Because you're right in the middle of too long and sometimes maybe right in the sweet spot. Yeah.
So what I will say is I don't really play to the algorithm.
Yeah.
I don't focus on that. I don't really. This goes back to the strategy. Where do we want to post these videos? Right. A lot of it is. I talk a lot about where customers going to see you, or when they find you, where are they going to find you? It's going to be on Google, on your Google business page, or your website. They may come across you on Facebook, but then now you're playing with Facebook. And that's another reason why I stepped away from digital marketing, because I had to play by their rules. I take things from a psychological, educational approach with the videos, where they should go. If it's something specific to social media, Instagram, Facebook, then you got to kind of rethink your strategy a little bit. But I would say most of my videos kind of stay off those platforms, or at least are geared to stay off those platforms.
I think it's social media to me, and if you don't want to comment too much on it, because I know that's not what you specialize on. To me, social media is more of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of feeling. Like there's a lot of FOMO of that situation. Like if you don't post every single day, you'll never see what kind of takes off. And at the same time, like if you don't focus on some high quality stuff to be able to show, it's like you're kind of missing the opportunity to tell a story, right? So the strategy I have every time with with the clients I have is like, if you can't create, just document until you are able to create again. How are you? I know you promote the clients. I know you help them out. Like, how are you pushing your business out to get more clients? Because that's the big question, right? How do you survive financially?
That's one of the biggest challenges I have. I don't have a videographer behind me as I video my clients. I'm like, that has been so frustrating from the start, because I realize I need to promote myself. Luckily, I'm at a point where my network has grown so much in the 3.5 years or whatever, to where I've been able to get reoccurring jobs. But I realize, again, in order to grow, especially as I bring on more people to the team, it's like we need to kind of fill the pipeline here. So one thing I actually bought recently was a 360 camera.
Oh, there you go.
And I, like you're saying, documenting your process. That thing just sits on my gimbal, and I can get myself filming whatever, and then I can have it rotate, and then kind of it'll show the camera and the action going on in front of me, so people can kind of see like how I work, what I do, what equipment I use, what kind of projects I work on, how I talk to people. And if you talk to me like in a strategy meeting, I would say the number one keyword I say is transparency. It's exactly what you're saying as far as documentation. The more you can show just about your process, the more people are just going to resonate and like understand who you are. And the more likely they are to trust you and then pick up the phone and give you a call. So that's kind of my strategy behind the 360 camera and just BTS, behind the scenes footage. So it's not necessarily yes, I can create a video for myself, and actually I'm due to create another video talking about it, just like a business overview of like what I do, why it matters, why people should consider it. But it's also the social media footage would be that 360 and just transparency stuff. It's not made to be super professional. It's just made to be transparent.
I remember when 360 cameras kind of started to get a little bit of a hype, right? To the point where actually YouTube was supporting 360 video uploads. So you can actually move around. Facebook, I think, sometimes does that, but it's like a little different. I know Instagram doesn't, as far as I can tell, but YouTube was one of the main ones that I was thinking like, wow, this is gonna blow up. Then it kind of like started to disappear as people just focused on, a 16:9 and that's it, And I started thinking to myself, it's going to pop back. It's going to come back, the 360 thing, because augmented reality, virtual reality with the meta glasses and everything, if people are recording now in 360, down the road, they're going to be set up a little bit better than those people trying to catch up. So as you record this 360 content, have you thought about does your mind start sparking oh wow, I can do a round table situation here or something?
I haven't really thought about that. It's very strictly for BTS, because I know I might use it in a pinch, as far as if I need to get within a tight space, a tight shot, or like my bigger camera can't do that.
Yeah.
But just this, that being the size it is, I know the quality's never going to live up to, at least not right now. It's not going to live up to the camera that I use, which is a mirrorless Sony camera.
And are you doing like 4K or above, or like?
Yep, just 4K.
4K.
I will say, 4K is important. The iPhone shoots 4K, Android shoot 4K. It's not so much about that. It's about the lighting, and I could see it just right above here. We have a really nice light in here. That
makes a huge difference.
That'll do more wonders for your video than 4K ever will.
Yeah,
so.
that's one of the things I tell people is like, you don't need all the stuff I have. Get a nice a light, not the directional lights, the ones that have the square cover and then it just points in one area.
Yeah.
Get the first start, if you can afford it, get the one that fills up the room first.
Yeah.
And then maybe some backlighting, like the above lights are kind of giving us a little bit of a silhouette, which is fine. But I tell them, like, look, use your phone. You have a powerful device in your pocket. Use the built-in mic if you have to. There's software. If there's noise, there's software that cleans it up, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I tell them, like, you don't need much. Just remember the lighting, get a quiet room, and start recording. And that's it.
Yep. And as long as you have something of value to share with the world, people are gonna link onto that. And it's just having this conversation right now. It's you bring expertise to what you're doing. Whoever you bring into this chair brings their expertise, and that's why this is why this podcast studio is doing so well. You know, because you're bringing value to people, and especially to local people who can who can resonate with local content. You know, like, this is what's going on in SLO County.
How do you measure the value? Because I know there's people that post every single day. I see them on TikTok, on Instagram. Obviously, it's not like they're not like clipping and syncing audio and stuff like that, but they're posting every single day, hoping one of them is going to pop off, right? But how do you measure value on your end? Because I know for me, when I see your video, I'm like, holy crap, that is valuable. Like, that's quality right there. So
tell me, I'm interested. Tell me about that. What is valuable about my videos to you?
To me, it's like, I don't know if it's because like I do the video podcasting, or because I just like the 4K resolution or whatever. Like, there's little things that kind of like that get my taste buds, so to speak, right? There's the audio, the video, because if I see a video that's great video, but you kind of hear everything else in the room, I'm just like, what? Like, who did their stuff? Like, I start wondering. So for me, it's like what catches my eye is just the I feel like you spent so much time on a 3-minute, 4-minute video to the point where, like, I don't know if people will realize, like, you were at your desk for 12, 16 hours for that one output.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's value. However, I try to keep things in like check to myself. Like, if I do these long form like podcasts and it only does a little bit, I start thinking to myself, like, what else can I bring to the table or highlight from the person in the show to kind of spark those taste buds a little bit? Like, what am I hitting, right? A lot of the times it's mostly just like, I start overthinking it. Like, that's my value here. Sometimes it's like overthinking it, and then I have to bring myself down. It's like, it doesn't matter if anybody watches it. I got value out of you being here, and if somebody else gets it, that value is just that much more worth than having 1,000 people watch it and nobody says anything about it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've been hearing is like, if I have 100 views on this video, I hear almost from every single one of those 100, right? But if I have 100,000 views and like I hear nothing, I'm like, okay, who's watching? Who's actually paying attention to what? To me, value is who's paying attention. Right.
And what I would say is, if you're paying attention to my videos, like I thank you for that. Like, it means a lot, because I'm a perfectionist at heart. I spend probably too much time on set or behind the desk editing, and but at the end of the day, it's like I want to impress the client. I want to impress the people who are viewing the video. When we're talking about creating a concise video or something that looks good, I like to think of it as mitigating distractions. So nice lighting, not a bunch of things in the background, not a bunch of sounds going on in the background. All these different factors go into the messaging, which needs to be there from the start. The rest is just you work with on set. And then you bring in that local aspect. We have very, very talented people in this area. And the first contact I made when I started my business was the Atascadero Chamber of Commerce. They connected me to a lot of our local businesses. And the first big project I actually worked on was a series of videos called Atascadero Uncovered.
Yeah.
And I very quickly realized, like, we have a lot of talented people around here that deserve to tell their story. Yeah. And I'm just in awe when I'm like behind the camera or just kind of coaching them and prompting questions to them, trying to get these good responses. These people need their story to be heard, and just for me to put it in a package that looks professional and people can really get behind. I just want to build up our community and have just a happier community in place. I think people can appreciate what goes into owning a business, and so when I tell that story, people can really understand. Like, oh wow, I didn't realize they do that much.
Yeah, I think going from not having any video content to all of a sudden jumping into the quality video that you make for them, I don't know. I feel like I would be in shock a little bit. Like, wow, that's good. That's the story I want to tell. And how have you had anybody go, how much, how can I repeat this process? Mm-hmm. Have you had any of that? Like, what's the feedback you're getting? Because I know the feedback from me is like, you're making great work, right? You're doing great quality, high quality video. You're telling the story. Obviously, people are watching because you're getting more and more people asking, like, hey, can you work with us? Can you do this? Can you do that? What's the feedback from like what would be your ideal feedback? Like, I'm not saying like, hey, only tell me this after I do the job. I'm just saying like, what makes it go, I did it. I accomplished that with that client, on to the next one, or continue growing with that one.
No, it's a never ending process. No. I like to start with, again, their foundations. Let's just take a big picture look at your digital presence. We're always on our phones nowadays. Yeah. And when people need a product or service, they're going to search it up probably on Google, maybe ChatGPT now. But you need to look like you can accomplish the job when people search your business up. If those foundational pieces aren't in place and you don't have a professional presence, they're going to move on to the next person. And so that's kind of the standpoint I take, is when I first start working with someone, and it goes back to the strategy. Like, I think to myself when I'm doing a brief overview, it's like, what do I think of this company? When I first visit their Instagram, their Facebook, their website, their Google My Business page. And then we work from there. I like to start with something called like a business overview, or like introductory video. It's something that's 60 to 90 seconds that shows who you are, what you do, why it matters, and then a call to action, how you can move forward with that company. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you right now, if someone doesn't have something like that, I like to use something called the restaurant example. Say you're in a new city and you're hungry, you want to go get Mexican food or something. Yeah. Which business are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the one with a bunch of nice reviews, mm-hmm. with nice photos of the food, maybe shows the prices, shows the ambiance of the restaurant? Or are you going to choose the one with no reviews or any of that? The decision is very simple. So when we talk about feedback, that's kind of the psychological feedback. It's like, what is the impression that you give when someone visits your website or anything?
It's funny you mentioned restaurants in this area, because there's still restaurants without websites in this area, which is crazy to think. Because I'll go sit down and I look up on Google, like, hey, I'm going to check out this restaurant, And then the website linked to their Google account is Facebook.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a restaurant necessarily needs that, because it's
Okay.
eating food is a quick decision. It's like you're hungry, you're
Yeah.
not hungry. Okay.
Yeah.
But especially where I specialize in is, I would say, the businesses that require a little bit more decision making as a customer. For example, like a custom home. A home is going to be probably the biggest expense or thing you buy in your lifetime. So you're going to want to work with someone that you can trust, that has the capabilities, the tools, the knowledge, and they're going to mitigate any frustrations along the way. So, I'm creating content for their website, their brand story that talks about these processes. But then I guess the next thing we would talk about is like, okay, if you're on Instagram, how can because they're always working on different builds, how can we show the different phases of the project that show that transformation from beginning to end?
Yeah.
And so now your page is full of like valuable content talking about these specific phases of projects. And then eventually it's going to be a finished build. We're going to do a testimonial with the owners to see how happy they are.
Yeah.
And what's that going to do for the next customer? It's like, oh, they're going to see all this content. They're going to see third-party confirmation that they did a good job. And then it's just going to rock and roll from there.
Yeah, that's one thing I feel like I'm missing out on a lot is the clients I have, like they'll talk me up a little bit with who they're with or with the next person, or I get recommendations, referrals, but I don't document any of what they're saying. Like I don't go and go, hey, can you go leave a review on my Google page? Or
why not?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Because I would give you a review after if you asked me. But a lot of people forget.
It's just you're in the moment, and then okay, I'll see you later. Thanks so much, and then later on they're like, oh wait, I did it once. I messaged quite a few people. Hey, do me a favor, leave a Google review if you find any value in what we talked about or what I helped you with. 0, which is fine. I was expecting no's too, but it's just one of those things where like maybe that's why I don't ask, because like I don't know. It's just one of those things where like it's assumed return of gratitude or return of like feedback assumed.
If it's one thing I've learned as far as getting that feedback, you just can't assume. It's like people are busy, but also people, if you did good work for them, they're more than willing to help you land that next job. Right. And so just be straight up like, hey, if you enjoyed working with me, I would really love this you got to be specific, a 5-star Google review. Yeah. But not just say like, oh, Bryan was great. No, you gotta be specific and tell your specific story, because people can resonate with, they can make their own connections. Like, oh, if Bryan solved this problem and I have a similar problem, then he's able to do the same thing for me. Awesome. So I would say like, can you write a short paragraph, please? A 5-star Google review and a small short paragraph explaining how I did and what specifically stood out to you.
I feel like if I do that, for some reason my head goes to like I'm making them work on a busy day.
Yeah.
I
totally get you.
You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and tell the people. Well, first of all, if you like this content, please like, subscribe. I gotta practice doing that too. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below.
My dad is always like, he's on my YouTube Premium. He loves YouTube now, probably more than live TV. And he's like, why are they always asking to hit the notification bell? Or because it gets you,
it pushes them.
No, it helps them out. It's like if you enjoy this content, it's harmless. Yeah. And I realize because people need a gentle nudge just to remember.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of times where I'll be watching something like Diary of a CEO, right? I'll be watching it at the very beginning. He started doing it more and more. It's like, hey, our analytics say 60% of you watch this, but 40% or like 60% of you watch it the whole way through. Yeah. But only 40% are subscribed out of that 60%. It's like, so please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified. And I'm like, oh, shoot, that's right. And I go check, and I'm not even subscribed yet. I've been watching like 20 videos. Yep. So it's just one of those little nudges like you mentioned. Same thing with leaving the review, I'm guessing. It's going to be, it's all about giving the audience or the client or the customer the extra nudge. So I guess that's a good piece of advice to give any business, right? Like, don't be afraid to ask for that review. Don't be afraid to ask for that feedback. Because like to me, in my head, what I imagine going is I'm afraid of the bad feedback. That's why I don't ask.
You just know if someone had a good experience with you. And I think you could be confident enough if you think they felt that way, it's probably true. You can just gauge their feeling. I won't ask someone who thinks they had a mediocre experience with me. Yeah, because that's gonna hurt you.
No,
if you ask someone who had not only will they be angry, they'll be like, I don't like this guy, and especially as a small business with limited reviews, that 1 star is gonna absolutely knock you. So you got to be careful about that. But you also got to be proactive and get as many of those 5 stars, because it's gonna make those 1 stars way less impactful, And even if you do get a 1 star, it's just about being open. None of us small business owners are out for people. Yeah. None of us are trying to make them have a bad experience. Right. Some people think a little bit differently. Maybe something did go wrong, but the only thing you can do as a business owner is respond to that review and just respectfully and move on to the next thing, because you can't let it tear you down.
Oh yeah, I've seen those reviews where some business owners or businesses get, and they'll get defensive on the review, the owner themselves, like, well, if you didn't do this, it wouldn't have to. I'm like, oh, what the hell's going on? It's like a drama within the,
and it just makes you look bad.
Yeah,
and again, your digital presence is everything.
But I guess, like, in a way, that's transparency, like who you really are.
And the transparency thing, it's just be true to yourself. Know that you're providing a good service to the community, and at the end of the day, some people will like what you do, some people won't like what you do, and I'm the same way, where I play these games in my head way too much, or I stress about these little things, but I got to take a step back and just say, like, this is just part of the process. I gotta keep moving forward. I can't let my overall happiness just be wrecked because of one little thing,
Yeah, there's been plenty of times where I get in my head a little bit and I go, and I feel like some of my decisions would have been affected because of that. Like, let's say there's a slow month or a slow week or something, right? They're like, I didn't get any phone calls or emails or text messages, and I start thinking, is my work bad? and then all of a sudden, like, I start, like, not really feeling great about it, and then, like, the following month, the following week or whatever, all of a sudden I get like 5 inquiries, like back to back to back. It's like, oh, people are just busy. Like, it's like if you know, it's like this. That's how the pattern is with everything. There's the ups and downs, You see the stock market, ups and downs. But as long as you stay consistent and working, I feel like you're gonna be all right. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Google, of course. So I'm Bryan with FramePerfect Media, and you type me in FramePerfect Media. FramePerfect is one word, and I serve SLO County. You can find me on Instagram as well. It's under my name, Bryan, BRYAN _ Kirkpatrick, KIRKPATRICK _ And so since I'm a one-man band right now, I'm kind of leveraging that personal brand on Instagram, as opposed to just using FramePerfect Media on Instagram. So those are the main 2 places I'm at. As of right now, you won't really see too much of me with that 360 camera, though. You'll see more content over time, but a lot of it too is just you going back to reaching. It's about being proactive. You reached out to me to be on this podcast, and I may say yes or no, but I said yes, and now we have an episode. Yeah, it's the same thing for me, especially when I was getting started. There's a lot of no's because I didn't have any social proof to back me up. I didn't have other people. I had no network. I had no portfolio. Now it's a little bit easier. Those first couple of years are definitely the most challenging, but now it's getting a little better. Not to say you shouldn't be doing that anymore. You should always be doing outreach to grow the business. But you'll see that it gets a little bit easier over time.
And then it gets harder. And then it gets easier. And then
Yeah,
it gets harder.
there's
And then it
still
gets
ups
easier.
and downs. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bryan, for joining me on the Paso Robles podcast. This is really fun.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I'd probably bring you back for a part 2 one day, but for sure, like I'm excited for what you have going on, what you're going to accomplish. I think once more people realize the quality of work you have, I have a feeling you're gonna get a lot more phone calls.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more I could say, so I'd love to be on a second
for sure.
episode.
Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.